Ever since I was a little lad, I've seen countless fast food tier lists, some with really good rankings and others that were iffy. But over time, as a society, I believe we have forgotten that corporate entities have people behind them, schemes, and scams. These restaurants all have their own flaws and faults that they should be held accountable for. With that being said, I have a better tier list for you, and it has 9 layers. Which fast food chain fits each layer of hell? Before I dive into this analysis, I want to thank you guys for the recent support. It really means a lot to me, and these videos wouldn't be possible without you guys. I plan to release a lot more analyses, so stay tuned. And now we can talk about what you came here for: hell and fast food places. Dante's Inferno is a book out of the Divine Comedy, which was written in the 14th century, which also means it's an extremely old book, and it's really kind of boring. But for the time, it was groundbreaking. This book combined religion and mythology to show what Dante's vision of hell is. He coined the idea of hell being 9 layers, each fitting one of the 9 biggest sins: lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, heresy, violence, fraud, and treason. I said 9, but I only listed 8 because limbo is technically not a sin, but it is still considered a layer of hell. As we discuss what fast food place the sinners of this circle dine in, I will also explain what the punishments for these sins are. One more thing, most of these fast food places were picked unbiasedly. They were either put in the layer because of the things the business has done or because of the scams, while others were put there because their food sucks. Anyways, onto the video. Bon appetit. Our first destination is limbo. This is for the souls that didn't get the chance to repent or hear about religion, forever in a crowd pushing against one another, chasing a white banner. This banner is supposed to represent repentance and how it is forever out of reach. While they fight for this banner, their feet sting, which forces them to move, further causing the crowd to push against one another. This layer is mostly made up of the babies who were not baptized and the people who were born before Christ. Now, since this isn't really a sin, just ignorance of others, I think they should get off the hook pretty easily. I believe that this is a toss-up between 2 different chains, Wendy's and Sonic. I believe these 2 should go here because they don't have any notable problems and are both okay chains to eat at. So if you do happen to go to limbo, which, funnily enough, after watching this analysis, you technically can't because this is me introducing you to religion, you at least have Wendy's nuggets and Sonic's chili dogs. To get to our next destination, you would have to go under one of the most famous quotes Dante ever wrote: "Abandon all hope, all ye who enter." This is engraved on the entrance of hell, because technically, limbo is right outside of hell, but for some reason is counted as hell. Back on topic, I would like to make a change to this quote. That being, abandon all appetites, all ye who eat here. This is because we are putting a bit of a silly chain here, that being Hooters. Before we go into why it's Hooters, let me tell you a little bit about the second layer. This layer is called lust, and is mainly for those who committed acts of adultery. In hell, they are forever swept away by violent windstorms, which makes them unable to find rest. The symbolism is that the desires that swept them away in their lives are now forever sweeping them away in hell. So much so that they cannot even find a place to stand still. Hooters comes into all of this because of the employees' uniforms, which are often noted as being too revealing. One example of this is when Hooters established a new uniform, which led to many employees complaining on social media about the change, which resulted in Hooters altering it. This is why I believe Hooters would be in the second layer. On to our next destination, gluttony. This is for the souls who indulged in too much food, drink, and other excesses in their lives. These souls are punished by lying in vile slush created by freezing rain. This layer is guarded by Cerberus, a 3-headed monster, who may beat you to the self-checkout kiosk of our next fast food chain, McDonald's. The main reason McDonald's is placed here is because of the sheer amount of locations they have, totaling up to 44,000 locations. Another reason is because of how unhealthy the meals are at McDonald's. For instance, the Double Big Mac, which has a whopping 1,500 calories. Overall, the conclusion is something that everyone has already come to. McDonald's is pretty unhealthy. Now we continue onwards down to the next layer, greed. This layer is for the souls who own too much in life. and their punishment is basically Sisyphus. That's like really hard to pronounce with the S, so please do not type about how I said that wrong. I might cry. Basically, they are forced to push rocks up hills and down hills for the rest of eternity. Eventually, the rocks will crash into each other, and they will repeat the process. You may ask, where would these souls go when they are hungry and tired from pushing rocks? And the answer is Subway. Remember the last layer, where I said McDonald's has a crazy amount of locations? Subway kind of puts that to shame, with their overexpansion of locations. Subway opened so many locations at one point that it stopped some of their other locations from getting customers, leading to them closing down. Remember, they are owned by franchisees, which means many people were put out of business by the greedy amount of growth. While McDonald's has more locations, Subway was sabotaging itself blindly with the number of locations it had. That's why I think Subway would win this spot in hell. After leaving Subway with some cold, soggy bread, you'll be welcomed with a nice river filled to the brim with rageful souls. This, of course, being the punishment for wrath. The souls who were sent to this layer are souls of the most hateful and angry people, which forces them to fight with one another for eternity. Now, for normal people, it's hard to imagine being so hateful and rageful. That is, until you step foot into our next restaurant, Panda Express. Over the years, Panda Express's reputation has definitely been on the downturn, with them having a rating of 2.1 stars out of 5. For comparison, In-N-Out has 4.2 out of 5 stars, and the main reason we are looking at Panda Express over McDonald's, which actually has a lower rating, is because of the ratings themselves, which are mostly about bad customer service and or staff being rude. So, the conclusion we can get from this is, even in their final resting place, they will still get bad customer service. After getting screamed at in the 5th layer over some soggy noodles, we arrive to the 6th layer, heresy. Heresy by definition means a belief that goes against or contradicts religious doctrine, which is a pretty tall order to fill. There really isn't a restaurant that goes against religious beliefs, so for the sake of this analysis, we will look at restaurants that pride themselves on being better to the public than they are in private. And wouldn't you know it, we have a chain that fits that spot perfectly. Drumroll please. Introducing the one and only Chipotle. This is kind of a short and sweet answer. Basically, Chipotle has failed many FDA inspections, but they surprisingly still have a decent reputation, especially with how clean they are. This mostly is from personal experience, but I've always been told it's a clean place, so to hear this, it definitely shines a new light on it. Onto the 7th layer, which is definitely a mood killer, we have violence. See what I did there with the killer joke? Okay, back on topic, the 7th layer is divided into 3 different sections. The first section is about violence done to one's neighbor, the second section is about violence done to oneself, and the third section is about violence against God. For the sake of this analysis, we're going to treat all of the layers as one, even though each of these sections has its own punishments. While this seems like a hard layer to assign a fast food chain to, I think this may be the one layer I hit the nail on the head with. And it's all because of one infamous video, starting at Waffle House. After examining this video, I've inferred that every Waffle House employee has to have had at least a minimum of 10 years of training in some temples across the globe, because I have never seen anyone deflect an object like that or even defend themselves that well. Using this video as a baseline, we can safely put Waffle House in the 7th layer, but we should also mention that this is not the only fight that has happened at Waffle House. In fact, it'd be pretty silly to think that. Waffle House is known for fights and how common they have become in the franchise, ranging from verbal disagreements to crackheads attempting to go Super Saiyan. In other words, I don't think this layer deserves a Waffle House. I think Waffle House deserves this layer. For our next layer, we have fraud. This layer is for the souls who have lied about their identities or just lied in abundance. Now, this sin has to be one of the worst punishments, in my opinion. That being, the souls are forced into boiling tar. But do not fret, because they at least have 2 decent food options. The reason I say options is because I believe two fast food chains should coexist on this layer, both for pretty different reasons. These restaurants are Taco Bell and In-N-Out. The reason Taco Bell rests on this layer is a pretty simple one, because their meat isn't meat, or at least not fully. Taco Bell's meat is apparently only 88% real meat, with the rest being supplements. This is a pretty innocent reason, but let's look at In-N-Out, which gets put into this layer because of sponsorships. I'm sure everyone watching this knows of The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson. I will not refer to him as The Rock, because he in fact does not rock. See, In-N-Out had a sponsorship with Dwayne a few years ago, where he tried his first meal at In-N-Out. This, however, was not his first sponsorship with In-N-Out. He's done the same sponsorship with the same first time trying jig 3 different times. I can in fact smell what The Rock is cooking, and it is lies. I don't think it's too big of a statement to say this sponsorship, which coexists of both In-N-Out and Dwayne, lands both of them in the 8th layer. Perhaps, while he's down there, he will eat In-N-Out for the first time endlessly. Now, for what everyone's been waiting for, the 9th layer. This is the layer that Satan himself is on, forever trapped and trying to fly back up. His flapping wings actually causing this layer to be cold, which goes hand in hand with the punishment of the souls of this layer, that being treason. Now, after some long thought, I think I found the perfect 2 restaurants for this layer, Arby's and Burger King, because of how they both deserve this spot, like literally. The only reason why is because of how downright awful they taste. Not only that, but it fits with the cult theme because it seems like Burger King isn't aware you need fire to cook things. You might be thinking, how is this treason? And I will tell you how. Because every time I eat it, it feels like treason to my taste buds and to my heart. I don't think any of the souls in this layer deserve the punishment more than these 2 establishments. Okay, I got a little heated there. Sorry. After all of this, we arrive out of hell, because funnily enough, to get out of hell, you have to go deeper into it. I want to thank you guys for following me on this expedition and adventure through hell, to see what change maybe some of you will end up eating at. I hope not, of course, but look, if you happen to go down, at least you have a good place to eat. Maybe not good, but you'll have a place to eat. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.